episode 12 of Four Nights of the Apocalypse came out, and we got the brand new opening, and my god, is this my favorite opening for Four Nights so far? I know it's only 2 openings, but it is my favorite so far due to the fact that the song is catchy, but it also has really nice visuals. Now, here's the downside to this opening for anime onlys mainly, and that is so much was spoiled in this opening. Like, someone went into the animator's room, they asked, hey, how many spoilers would you put into this opening? And they were like, yes! It spoils so much in the upcoming arc, specifically Leonus, but at the same time, the opening is just so good, and has some really nice animated shots. So today I'm going to be going over each of the scenes in this opening one by one, primarily what pertains to the anime and what this opening has shown us, just in case we missed anything going through it the first time, or just to bask in the glory that is the passion that went into this opening, and that it shows that they do really want the Leonus arc specifically to come out great. Before we get into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel. I love doing the Four Nights manga chapter reviews and discussions, as well as now the anime reviews that I'm trying to do as well. Also, the official anime English translation of the anime is coming to Netflix at the end of January, most likely. So, if you haven't found a way to watch it fan subbed, look forward to the official when it comes out later this month. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get right into the video. It starts off with the sun rising as Percival is getting up from the rubble as he goes over towards the sunrise. We get a cloudy sky with the title sequence, as we then see Percival beginning to slowly walk up and meet his friends, with the clouds parting, with the sunlight shining on, with on dawning as he ends, as Sin follows behind Percival as he runs towards them. We then get a nice spanning shot of the main group running across the screen, as we essentially see all the areas they've gone to through their journey, from Percival's first village to Echo Gorge to Stana, Kant, and now the current village that they are entering in the Dolph Lair arc at the point of this anime's episode, as we then see Camelot in its alternate dimension as we zoom straight in, and we see Pelgart, Ironside, as well as some other knights that we will soon yet to meet, and a sinister image of Arthur, as we then cut over to Arthur's castle with Merlin as Arthur looks very sinister, with an image of Ironside with his mask on walking towards us in a fog. Now this is where we get into real spoiler territory right here. So I'm going to go everything beat by beat with a single image at a time. The first of these spoiler images that we end up seeing is a man holding a young baby in his arms, crying. Now this is actually towards the end of the Dolph Lair arc, where the antagonist of the arc, Ardberg, is holding a baby on. His ability is to essentially turn people into babies, which is something that isn't really meant for combat, and he mainly did this so he can get away from the Four Knights and all that. And this is when he meets Gother and ends up having a change of heart, as On reminds him of his own baby child. As I believe this image is from chapter 39 or 40, and that is the end of the Dolph Lair arc. The next image we see is of a woman, and this is actually something we see the opening ends up being revealed in with episode 12, and it is actually the image of a future version of what we presume to be Guinevere as an adult in a wedding dress, which is the current episode we're out right now, and I kind of like the lighting here. It's simultaneously beautiful yet mysterious, as we don't know what's going on. The next image is a blink and you'll miss it thing, but this is actually the demon village that we see in the Dolph Lair arc, as it's very quick, but if you pause at the right time, you get to see all the houses as well as silhouettes of all the red and gray demons that live in this town in the skies, as Gother is the one that essentially is helping them live a life outside of the demon realm in Britannia. And this is a very blink and you'll miss it moment, so you have to pause at the right time. But as quick as this comes, we immediately get an image of Chaos Galland and Chaos Melascula. Now this is the first big major spoiler in this opening, because when Galland and Melascula returned with their chaos forms under Arthur's control in the Leonus arc as the surprise antagonists in this arc, everybody lost their minds. This was a really big twist and reveal that nobody was going to see coming, and to have this spoiled in the opening for a lot of people, that is kind of a bummer. However, this does build up hype as you wonder how they're back and why do they look so different. And I'm going to be completely honest here, I kind of like the bulkier design for Galland, and I kind of like Melascula's form right here, with the black hair. I think it suits her better, at least for me. Also, I'm kind of a bit of a simp for Molaskula. But moving onwards, Percival then yells out as essentially this is the point in the Entangled Forest arc where he is facing off against the Dark Talismans, which, if I am correct, is chapter 47 of the manga, where he's getting a big influx of hope as they're up against the wall, facing off against all 4 of them back at full health, and uses the hope fueled by Sin and his friends to try and at least make a line to hold them back. This is a really great scene in the manga, and I cannot wait to see it be animated, and the opening looks like it's doing us some nice justice for this section. As Percival is slicing down, we see the 4 members of the Dark Talismans that we end up meeting in this arc. Now, one real thing, it's just a nitpick, not in the opening, but just in the story in general. I kind of don't like that the baseline knights kind of have like a gold plating for their armor. It's a me thing. I kind of like that they all would most likely have like different colored armors to differentiate from each other, especially the leader of the Dark Talismans, but him being gold, it kind of feels off-putting. I've held my spoiler thumbnails for this arc. Whenever I had the image of this guy as a thumbnail, I kind of imagined him to be like a bright red. But whatever, it is what it is. It's just a brief nitpick for me. Next is another blinking you'll miss a moment, and that is actually a panning shot of Pelgard on the screen as it goes up to his blaze ball that he creates, as I assume this is the end of the Entangled Forest arc, as he's trying to essentially face off against Percival so that he can make him his apprentice again. For all we know, this could be either foreshadowing for Pelgard's involvement in the overall Leonus arc, or maybe we'll have like a quick brief fight with Pelgard before going to Leonus as like an anime original thing, to add an extra bit of action if they really feel like it. But I just feel like this is more so showcasing that we're going to see Pelgard in action in Leonus for a little bit. But either way, just nice to see Pelgard in the opening in some way, shape, or form. As now we then get to the most animated sequence in this opening, and it's probably my favorite sequence in this opening by far, is Team Percival facing off against Meligaland as they fly up a tower, seemingly in the Chaos Dimension. And this is a really cool set piece for an opening because they're not going to be in Camelot, they're going to be in Leonus when Meligaland shows up, and Meligaland is also a really big surprise as it is a Chaos fusion of Chaos Galand and Chaos Molaskula, and that character appears in, I believe, chapter, I want to say 71, 72? But yeah, this character shows up out of nowhere in the manga, and it was an insane thing, and it added an extra layer of like a final boss fight for the main cast, and some difficulty, leading to Tristan's eventual full Demon Mark attack and transformation. But yeah, this sequence is really cool as Percival is just engulfing his friends in his hope powers as all of them were flying around and trying to fight off against Chaos Meligaland really quick. And this is a really nice sequence as it also ends with Percival using his mini golems to surround the enemy and then take his sword and clash with Meligaland's axe-type spear, making a giant explosion that, if you pause at the right moment, ends up being the silhouette and image of a mini Percival golem, which is honestly really fun and really cute if you actually pause at the right moment. When the light disappears, we get a nice panning shot of Team Percival, which with a bunch of trees in the background, which I presume is the end of the Entangled Forest arc before Lancelot's reveal as they're facing off against the Dark Talismans. We then immediately get the image of Lancelot, as I believe this is the end of chapter 49, with the full-on reveal of Lancelot in the manga. And it's the exact same panel, which I find very cool, so they also fully spoil Lancelot is showing up in the anime. If you didn't tell from the added scenes, this most likely spoils the fact that Lancelot is in the anime and is coming up pretty soon. And immediately after that, the biggest thing I'm kind of mad about, outside of the Chaos Galand, Chaos Molaskula stuff, Lancelot I can kind of forgive because they were kind of spoiling it from the beginning, but it's Gawain's character design. First off, I like how it's really just showcasing her and then just smiling at the camera. Very Gawain, showcasing her smug nature. But here's the thing. The whole mystery of Gawain was a big thing in the fan base ever since we found out the Final Knight was Gawain. Gawain was in a suit of armor, and for chapters upon chapters for over a month, we essentially had to guess what Gawain looked like. Was Gawain a man, a woman? Did they have sunshine? What exactly did they look like? And it led to conspiracy theories being like, oh, Gawain was hiding in the crowd this entire time. And that is actually true. Certain sections before Gawain's reveal, she was actually hiding in the crowd. If you really looked at it, you would find a Nakaba hid her in the crowd somewhere in multiple chapters between the reveal that Gawain is a 4 knight and her initial real introduction into the story. But this image of Gawain, I believe, is from chapter 60 or 61, and this is from her initial introduction. And not only that, but after the Gawain reveal, we get the Tristan reveal, as we get a quick close-up towards Tristan's face as he reveals his goddess and demon eyes, as this is literally in chapter 61 when all 4 knights officially come together to face off against Pelgard, and we see an image of Tristan activating his demon and goddess powers all at once. So that is something really cool to see, as a lot of people love Tristan. I like Tristan too, and it's just nice to see him in the opening. But this also spoils the fact that we will see Tristan in this season, but either way, I'm happy for it. That's one thing that I think not many people are going to be upset about with the spoiling, because we kind of figured Tristan would be a member of the Four Knights. It's a sequel to Seven Deadly Sins. His dad was a protagonist of Seven Deadly Sins. But after that, we get a quick panning shot of Elizabeth and Meliodas in their king and queen attire, and they look great. Obviously, they kind of look a little bit different based off of the original designs from the original anime and a bit from the manga, but it looks fine. We'll have to wait and see them in motion, as this is literally most likely just a slideshow in this portion of the opening, but we don't really get to see Meliodas until chapter 51, and we don't get to see Elizabeth until towards the end of the arc at chapter 83. So, at the best, we will end up getting this Leonus arc ending in chapter 83, which is, honestly, 82, 83 is my sweet spot. But after Meliodas and Elizabeth, we get a quick shot of a still frame of the Tristan platoon showcasing Isolde, Chion, and Jade, and their first appearance, and I assume this is most likely going to be their introduction, which is around chapter 53. So I'm looking forward to see these guys and how they sound in the anime. We then get another panning shot, which is Gowther with a red demon, which is going to end up being chapter 41 of the manga, with him saying his farewell to the gang, as he stays at the demon village to look after them, while the rest of the gang go through the Entangled Forest to encounter the Dark Talismans and make it to Leonus. Next image is an image of Ironside and Vargas just coming together in a sketch, as we see Ironside's image, and we then cut over to just a bunch of mini Percival just wrestling with each other, and then get a nice still frame of Old Man Hendrickson and Old Man Dreyfus in Hendrix's pharmacy shop, which is honestly really kind of cool that they're both around. And honestly, I don't think this is a single panel in the manga. I think this is anime original that we'll see more of the two of them together before they meet Percival. But for one, it's nice to see the two of them are still best friends all these years later, and also we will actually get to see these two actually have their moments in the Leonus arc as well, which I'm really excited to see. I like these guys. They deserve some spotlight. We then get a quick image of the Elder in the Demon Village, which is doing the same pose as Gowther, as this is most likely the moment where Gowther reveals himself as disguising himself as that Demon Village chief. We then get a panning shot of Jericho and Gila facing each other, ice and fire. Now this is a wallpaper shot if I ever seen one, and this literally spoils that Jericho and Gila are going to be in this arc, but they're also seemingly going to be facing each other based off of the placement of that. So that also kind of spoils the whole big Jericho thing, but we'll have to look forward to that. But that fight most likely takes place chapter 70-71. But moving on, we then get to see a girl just running through the town and jumping into the air in the middle of Leonus, as this is most definitely Guinevere, as this is the start of chapter, I believe, 52-53 if I'm not being mistaken, as this is when Guinevere officially enters Leonus. As we then just see Leonus Castle as day and night pass quickly, showcasing multiple days passing, perhaps weeks, as we then cut to an image of all 4 knights assembled, as this is literally the panel from chapter 61, and then spans out to show the entire group with the 4 knights, Team Percival, Team Tristan, Meliodas, Elizabeth, Gilthunder, Gowther, Dreyfus, and Hendrickson. And that is the final image of the opening. In all honesty, I kind of love this opening. As much as it's filled with incredible spoilers for a lot of anime onlys, it is most definitely a big hype train for manga fans that have been waiting for the series to come out, especially for the Leonus arc. Now, I do have my qualms with certain things that were spoiled. Like, I really feel like they should have kept Gawain's identity a secret for a little while, like they did in the manga. Build up hype around the eventual reveal, because they kind of ruined the whole reveal of Lancelot, at least for a lot of people, me included. but some people might not put two and two together for all we know, and maybe they didn't see the Red Vandenberg movies. Milligalland was another big spoiler, same with their Chaos forms being revived, but other than that and the Jericho thing, the spoilers weren't super explicit for people to catch on. It's mainly the reveal of the Four Knights and Chaos Galland and Melascula basically being the big major spoilers in this opening. But the music was great, really nice visuals, and I have to say, especially in the Milligalland section of the opening, it showcases that this team does have passion for this project, and once we get to the Leonus arc, I am incredibly optimistic that we will get a good product. At specific moments, we'll get enough time, dedication, and care, whether it be the fights or introductions, that will make fans of the series incredibly happy. But that's essentially my full breakdown of the opening. A lot of spoiler stuff, and my own personal critiques, but the opening itself was definitely very consistent. There was some nice pieces of animation and some really nice artwork. Some character models look a bit off to me, mainly Lancelot and a little bit of Gawain in certain images. Tristan looked fine, same with Percival and the rest of the cast, but that could have just been still images in how it was presented in the opening. But those were my thoughts. What did you guys think of the opening? How do you feel about all the spoilers? Were you anime only and you still watched this video and didn't really care too much about the spoilers? And are you looking forward to the rest of the season of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, especially the Leonus arc for me? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and you want to see more. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.